first graders, I hope you enjoyed this story, A Camping Spree with Mr. McGee. Mr. McGee and his dog have a run-in kind of with a bear that actually ends really well for them. But we know in real life that doesn't always happen. So we're going to read today about why it's super important that people care about nature and they don't feed the bears. And then what you're going to do is you're going to write a letter to somebody explaining your opinion that we should not feed bears. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit of something about why we shouldn't be feeding the bears. Um, but before we go ahead and read that, I would just want to think about what I already know about bears. Um, I know that they look cute and they look cuddly, but that they're not in the wild and that they can be super dangerous to people. Um, what do you already know about bears? All right. Well, you have this sheet, so if you want to go ahead and print it out and read along with me, that would be great. You're going to need it in order to make yourself some notes so you know what to add to your writing piece. Um, so you're going to need this caution do not feed the bear sheet, and you're going to need this writing piece, and then you're going to need all the pieces that go together to make the craft part of it. So I'm going to read this all the way through first and just get an idea of why it's important not to feed bears. And then I'm going to go through and pick out what I think are the most important reasons, the ones that really mean something to me, so that I can use them in my piece of writing. So, caution. Do not feed the bears. And before I read this nonfiction piece, actually, I want to just take a quick look at the illustrations here because sometimes they give us extra information. So this is a photograph of a sign that you might see if you're outside camping. It says, "A fed bear is dangerous. Keep your campsite clean." Store all food, beverages, and scented materials inside your vehicle. Place all garbage in a bear-proof container. Violations results in fines and seizures. So what that means that if you get caught not following these rules, you could get, or your parents could get a ticket, a fine, so you'd have to pay some money. And seizures has to do with taking things. So the police might decide that, or the if somebody who works at the park might decide that what you're doing is dangerous enough that they're going to take that stuff so you're not being dangerous to the wildlife around you. So that's what seizures are, to take something from someone. And then we have two different pictures. We have a picture of a bear down here with plants and a picture over here of a bear on a picnic table. And I'm just going to quickly look at those captions before we get started. It says the black bear is eating berries. And then this black bear is eating food that wasn't cleaned up properly. And I have a feeling that we're going to learn a little bit more about that when we read this. All right, now that I've got my mind ready, I'm going to go ahead and read. Campers have a responsibility to keep their campsites clean. Black bears have an excellent sense of smell, and they can smell food that isn't stored properly. Bears that wander too close to campsites can result in people getting attacked. Campers should lock up their food in special containers and store it in their vehicles when they aren't using it. Garbage should be placed in bear-proof containers. Bears need to eat their own food so they don't get sick. Taking these precautions will help protect bears and campers. That's a lot of really good information. It explains to me why it's important to make sure that my campsite is clean, and who it affects. And I think I'm going to think about that when I do my writing piece. So I want to talk about how it affects people, but it also affects bears. So if I reread it, campers have a responsibility to keep their campsites clean. I think that's an important word to include. So I'm going to highlight that so I can find it again. Bears have an excellent sense of smell, and they can smell food that isn't stored properly. Bears that wander too close to campsites can result in people getting attacked. Well, I think that's pretty important. We don't want people to get attacked. Campers should lock up their food in special containers and store it in their vehicles when they aren't using it. Garbage should be placed in bear-proof containers. Bears need to eat their own food so they won't get sick. I think that's really important too, that we don't want the bears to get sick. Taking these precautions will help protect bears and campers. So all of that is pretty convincing reasons why we should definitely make sure that our campsites are clean. So I'm going to have you pause and then go ahead and just highlight what you think is important. You might be wanting to tell your reader more about bears themselves, or about why bears are attracted to campsites in the first place, and or maybe more about what people should do with their food and their garbage. So go ahead and pause and do that. All right, first graders, now that you've gotten some information that you want to include, we're going to write a letter. So we're going to write a persuasive letter telling our opinion about something to someone and giving them reasons why. So you have to think about first who you want to write this letter to. You might want to write it to a friend that you know who loves camping. You might want to write it to a family member. You could write it to all campers so that it's can be used for anybody. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to write a letter to all campers. And that way, when I know people are going camping, I could just, give them a copy of my letter. So I know that when I'm writing a letter, I have to start with a greeting, just like you start with a greeting when you see somebody. So I'm going to write at the top, the greeting is "Dear," and then I'm going to write campers because I'm not writing it to a specific person. If you were writing it to a specific person, you would put their name there. So dear grandma, or dear Chuck, whoever you would write it for. And then I want to start by stating my opinion. And my opinion is that people have a responsibility to protect bears and campers. So I'm going to write that, and I'm going to use the word responsibility from here so I know how to spell it. Dear campers, people have a responsibility PONSIBILITY to protect, protect bears, and I'm going to say themselves. So themselves. Now that I've stated my opinion, I'm going to tell people how to do that, right? So let's see, or maybe why. If not, people might get hurt, right? If they don't, people could get hurt by bear attacks. Started with an uppercase letter, I ended in punctuation. And then I'm going to add the part about how bears could get sick. Also, bears could get sick. So now that I've told them why they should do it, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to reread this and see if maybe I want to add something in to do a little revision. Dear campers, people have a responsibility to protect bears and themselves. I think I should add what they should do to protect bears and themselves. I really just went ahead and told them what could happen. So I'm going to do a caret. We know we do that when we want to add a little bit more in. People have a responsibility to protect bears and themselves. So when you camp, you need to clean up food and garbage. And I know I can always rewrite this, which I'll do afterwards, in order to make it really neat. This is just my first draft. So let me reread it. Dear campers, people have a responsibility to protect bears and themselves. So when you camp, you need to clean up food and garbage. If they don't, people could get hurt by bear attacks. Also, bears could get sick. That sounds much better. So when you camp, make sure to clean up. And then they already wrote sincerely, and then I'll just add my name. Great. And then I'm going to get another piece of paper afterwards and rewrite this so it's nice and neat. But the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to get all of those pieces that in the bear craft part, and I'm going to show you just how to put it together. You're going to notice that you have more than one body part. So if you have a sibling you want to share this with, you can go ahead and do that. But so you needed to print color in a body and a head, and that can attach here or here. I think I'm going to put it this way. A muzzle again, and I colored that in sort of a lighter tan color. And you would want to glue all this down. It comes with legs to add on. I'm going to make my bear run. And a nose. And it came with 2 ears, and now I can't find one of my ears, so we're just going to pretend I have 2 ears. And you can see I tried to make it interesting by adding some black that looks like fur and some a little bit darker. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to add, give him some eyes. Not bear colored eyes, but that's okay. And maybe a little bit of a mouth. Mine's going to be a friendly bear like the bear in Mr. McGee. But you can also make a bear that looks less friendly if you want. And then that can go attached to your Don't Feed the Bears piece. All right, writers, go ahead and write your letters and then go ahead and do your craft. Enjoy.